A liar will not be believed even when he speaks the truth. Aesop. Why do people lie? Is it to protect yourself from the harsh truths of the world? Or is it to protect others from the same? Perhaps it's just a way to make yourself look better or to avoid the consequence of your action. It's like a game of Jenga, where each lie is a block that we carefully remove, hoping that the tower won't come crashing down. Let's put down the Jenga blocks and step away from the web of lies. Let's embrace the power of honesty and integrity, and build a tower of truth that stands tall and strong. Have you ever heard the quote, "Honesty is the best policy"? But sometimes, it's not the first thing that pops into your head. Imagine a situation where someone dropped their wallet in front of you. Would you pick it up and pretend you saw nothing? Or what if your boss asked you to help you on another project, but your workload is already overwhelming? Will you take it and not risk getting on the bad side? In this inspiring story, we get to see the role of honesty in the lives of a farmer and a baker. Learn how important being honest will benefit you, how honesty will inspire others to do the same, and how to untap your potential. Welcome to Untapping Your Potential, where we will share with you motivational stories, motivational figures, comeback stories, and public speaking tips that will keep you growing and inspire you to take action. Once upon a time, in a cozy little village, there was a baker named Wade. Wade was known throughout the village for his delicious baked goods. One time, a group of tourists came to the village and went straight to Wade's bakery to try some of his famous pastries. They were so excited to taste the delicious treats that they handed Wade a large amount of money without really paying attention to the change he gave them. There was something else that everyone knew about Wade. He was a bit of a sneaky fella. He had a way of making a profit that didn't always sit well with his customers, and these tourists unfortunately weren't aware of that. Wade switched the money for a smaller amount while they weren't looking. The travelers left with their pastries thinking they had paid the right amount, but when they tried to buy some souvenirs later that day, they realized they didn't have enough money. The travelers were disappointed, but they learned a valuable lesson. They realized that they should have been more careful with their money and kept a closer eye on Wade. But despite his sneaky ways, people couldn't help but be drawn to Wade's bakery. His pastries were just too delicious to resist. And so despite his reputation, people continued to flock to his bakery day in and day out. Now, quite opposite of Wade was an honest farmer named Stephen. Stephen was a simple man with a heart of gold and a love for his farm that was second to none. He would wake up every morning at the crack of dawn and tend to his animals, making sure that each and every animal on his farm was given the care and attention it deserved. He never took shortcuts, and he never cut corners. Stephen takes care of some of the happiest cows you've ever seen, and those cows produce some of the best milk and butter around. Now, these two gentlemen had a little exchange going on. Stephen would sell Wade a pound of his delectable butter, and in return, Wade would bring him a loaf of bread. It was a fair trade, or so they thought. One day, the baker decided to weigh the butter and discovered that it wasn't a full pound. He was livid, and he called the villagers' council over to his bakery, accusing of Stephen of shortchanging him on the butter. The council asked the farmer if he was using any measures. The farmer replied, "I am a primitive. I don't have proper measures, but I do have a scale." The council asked, "Then how do you weigh the butter?" Stephen speaks honestly. "Long before the baker started buying butter from me, I have been buying a pound of loaf of bread from him. Every day when the baker brings the bread, I put it on a scale and give him the same weight in butter. If anyone is to be blamed, it is the baker." The village council's eyes widened in surprise. They had never heard of such an exchange before. They turned to the baker and asked if this was true. Now, Wade wants to deny it, but he knows that there is no evidence to prove that his side is right. He might as well admit it now. And just like that, the case was closed. The council ruled in favor of the farmer, and the baker had to eat his words and his bread, knowing that he had been the one at fault and could not lie his way out of it. From that day on, Wade's reputation was tarnished, and the villagers no longer trusted him. Even tourists were already warned before buying from him. Meanwhile, Stephen was praised for his honesty and integrity. Honesty is the first chapter in the Book of Wisdom. Thomas Jefferson. Wade had always been a bit of a trickster, a man who liked to bend the rules and play his cards close to his chest. But when he tried to cheat the farmer Stephen out of his butter, he quickly learned that honesty was always the best policy. And at first, Wade was embarrassed and ashamed that he had been caught. He thought about it more and more, and Wade began to see the error of his ways. He realized that cheating wasn't worth it in the long run. It might get you a quick buck or two, but it would cost you your reputation, your integrity, and the trust of those around you. And so Wade decided to turn over a new leaf. He started selling his bread for a fair price, treating his customers with respect and honesty. And you know what? Business started blooming. People could tell that Wade was a changed man, a man who was committed to doing things the right way. And so the old farmer Stephen, he was happy to see that Wade had learned his lesson. He continued to buy bread from Wade, enjoying every delicious bite with a smile on his face. And the two men even became friends, bonded by their mutual love of good food and fair play. In one of those exchanges, Wade wanted to finally formally apologize to the farmer. When Stephen came into his bakery, the baker struck up a conversation. "How's the new butter recipe coming along, Stephen? I can taste the change in those new batches you gave me last time." "Oh, it's coming along fine. I've been trying out a new recipe and I think it's the best butter I've ever made." "Well, I'll be the judge of that," chuckled Wade. The two men chatted and laughed, enjoying each other's companies. They talked about everything from the weather to the latest news in town. It was clear that they had put their little disagreements behind them and had moved on to bigger and better things. I'm really sorry about what happened with the butter. I was in the wrong, and I'm glad we're able to work things out," said Wade. Stephen smiled and put a hand over Wade's shoulder. "It's water under the bridge, my friend. We all make mistakes. What's important is that we learn from them and move on. It takes strength and courage to admit the truth." Wade felt the weight lift off his shoulder as Stephen forgave him. He knew that he had a good friend in Stephen, someone who was always smiling to see the best in people. From that day on, Wade made a conscious effort to be more honest and fair in his dealing with others. And so the two men said their goodbyes and went back to their respective businesses, happy in the knowledge that they had a good friend in each other. After all, in a small village like theirs, it was important to stick together and support each other, no matter what. Honesty is the best policy. If I lose my honor, I lose myself. William Shakespeare. Honesty feels good, doesn't it? When you're honest, you don't have to worry about keeping track of lies or hiding anything like Stephen. Imagine a situation when someone did drop their wallet in front of you. Keeping the wallet might seem like a tempting option, and it could be filled with cash, credit cards, and all sorts of goodies. But there's no greater feeling than doing the right thing and returning the lost wallet to its rightful owner. Think about it. If you lost your wallet, wouldn't you want someone to do the same for you? It's not only the right thing to do, but it also makes you feel good about yourself. And who knows, you might even make a new friend in the process. Or your boss asks you if you're able to take on another project, but your workload is already overwhelming. Don't pretend like you can handle it all. Instead, be honest and tell them that you're already swamped and will need more time or help to complete it. Your boss will appreciate your honesty, and it'll prevent you from getting overwhelmed. So take a page out of Stephen's book and embrace honesty in all aspects of your life. Whether you're dealing with your friends, family, or co-workers, strive to be open and truthful. It may not always be easy, but in the end, it's always worth it. Thanks for watching this video. How would you like to hear more motivational stories on a consistent basis? Do me a favor and support the channel by sharing, commenting below, and please make sure to like and hit that subscribe button to get the latest updates. Soon, you will be on your way to feeling inspired.